Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Article Club. We are back in action for season 2.
We are excited to be here.
Yes.
And we're coming back and bringing you another juicy article.
Of course.
And you might be thinking to yourself, you know, I bet it's going to come from one of the tried and true, from the New Yorker from the Atlantic or the New York Times. But no, we are going into the world of Substack.
You thought it was
our
off
first article
limits,
back.
but it is truly not.
And because you know what's interesting? The New Yorker actually just got on Substack. And everyone's like, why are they doing that? I don't know why.
Okay, interesting.
But Substack, I mean, what's blowing up the group chat, like, could be Substack as far as we're concerned.
We'll have to see. Wait until the very end.
So the article that we're reading this week is The Cult of Busyness. Not to be confused with business, which I accidentally typed multiple times.
Every time you try to write the word busyness, it seems wrong. So
yeah, you want to put an I, but it's a Y. And this is by an author, Tamara. And try as I might, I cannot find a single thing about her. I can't find her on LinkedIn. She's got no last name. All I got is a profile picture and a first name, and we can't find anything. But I love Tamara, or Tamara, who knows? We love
her either way.
Her writing. And this piece specifically, I don't actually remember how I found it. She has a Substack called Muse Guided. And this is basically all about how busyness has become a status symbol in this day and age.
And an addiction.
Yeah, it's the only addiction left that's considered culturally appropriate. So this piece, she basically talks a little bit about kind of the history of leisure and of busyness and how that's evolved over centuries. Then she talks about kind of today, in today's age, how we herald busyness and how we put it on this pedestal and sort of how that's evolved in a really unhealthy way. And that related to me so deeply because I am someone who prides myself on constantly busy. One of the lines that she talks about in the article is that when you ask someone how they are, everyone says, busy but good. Yeah, because you want to quantify, I'm in demand. I'm purpose. I'm important.
I have stuff to do.
Exactly. But all that's good. All that's good.
I'm not complaining
being busy
about it.
is great.
Yes.
And
can we start? Can we start?
Please.
Can I ask you, when was the last time you said busy but good?
I mean, now that I've read this,
Yesterday?
I'm like, I've been trying to say it, but I was like, when she said that, I was like, wow, the amount of time. I was like, just if I did a text search of when someone's like, what's up with you? And I type busy but good, it would be like pages on pages of text where that's my response to how I am.
Yeah. And it's sort of code for functioning in society in an important way. But I'm not complaining about it.
Exactly.
Or, I'm not going to let you into the deep despair that might be in my soul.
Totally. Wait,
if there
also,
is.
quick sidebar. You're not wearing your headphones.
Oh, I'm not.
She doesn't need them.
Do I need them?
Oh, okay. Well.
Oh my gosh, this is I can't even believe it. My head feels so naked. Can I have them? I kind of like them. Or will that mess us up?
I don't know. Do I need mine or no?
You're in the same room, so.
Okay, great. Well, then off they come.
Whoa, season 2. Oh, episode 2. I'm bringing back the headphones.
Yeah.
Now I'm like,
the headphoneless horseman.
I just feel, no wonder.
I was like, I can't really hear you that well.
Things felt so airy.
Like,
things felt so, I don't know.
Okay.
Different. But here we are. But anyways, okay. So I feel like, first of all, the way she writes this piece feels a lot different than a lot of the other articles that we've talked about that sort of are building an argument, come up with a solution. She kind of, there's sort of a solution at the end of this. But this is very much amusing. It's very much, like.
Oh yeah, it's a thing. It's just her own
stimulus.
Kind of stream of consciousness, but in a very structured way around business. So maybe should we start with kind of talking about the history of busyness?
Sure.
Okay. So
whoa.
I just historically, so this, I think she's trying to set the ground of busyness is actually only a recent phenomena that became highly prized. And so she talks about historically, leisure was actually the marker of social status and of success. It was for the wealthy, you wanted to do as little as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
and that has been upended. And that was in the ancient Greek times, also in the court, when I think about all of the medieval courts, you just did nothing. You lounged about the palace all day.
And if I'm busy, I'm farming, I'm working in a factory.
Labor.
Right.
And now busyness is slowly shifting. I don't know if it's capitalism or what exactly, valuing business over rest, over reflection, over other things has just slowly, I don't know, it's changed how we think about productivity. It's changed how we think about, like, instead of focusing on like meaningful output, it's just like focusing on any output or any movement in general is better.
Yeah. And we could talk about how much of this is the tech that enables that dopamine hit, right?
Yeah.
She says, she has some funny things to say about like, we're like worshiping at the altar of Slack pings, and
Totally.
our cathedral is a calendar that is built, you know, and we're worshiping the calendar instead of, you know, going in and having like an actual spiritual experience. Because we have this tech that allows us to be on all the time, we get that dopamine hit. I can resolve that thing. I can add that. I can do something to like soothe the open ends in my life constantly all day long, and then go to bed feeling like, oh, I'm accomplished. I'm a useful human being that deserves to be here and is contributing to society.
Totally.
Right?
I part of me thinks that we've gotten really bad at ending things in our culture. You think about COVID. There was no ending to COVID. You think about all of the Disney movies, all of the Marvel things. We're just recycling the same content over and over again. First we had Moana, then we had Moana 2. Now we have Moana the live action. It's like there's no end to any of these things, and we're just constantly sucking more and more things out of it. And so I think that in some ways having these like tools that you can check off, or these items on your to-do list that you can get rid of, or these events that you can go to and that ends, like you're getting the closure that you're like that you used to get in other parts of your life but isn't happening anymore.
It's a really good point, because this got me thinking about my parents being busy when I was a kid, and how I was starting to think about. So first of all, I am completely this person.
Yeah,
I'm
this is us at our worst
I wake
selves.
up at my worst self. I wake up in the morning, look, check the email, check the Slack, check like check my situation. And as I was reading the article, about 5 times I remembered, oh, I need a slumber pod for that trip. I have to remember to pack it, literally go do the thing. And it actually made me feel better that she admits at the end, even writing, she's like, I'm sitting here writing this article and I'm still responding to texts from friends and stuff. It's not like I have solved this. And she says something like, in the morning, we're checking all of our devices. And I literally thought, oh, I have an early meeting in the morning. I need to set an alarm so I don't forget. And I went and did that. Like, even this article about busyness and all these triggers was triggering stuff that I felt like I had to do, which is crazy. So I started thinking, did I grow up with that? Because my parents are always moving, and moving forward. My dad worked, my mom took care of 3 kids and busy life, whatever. But my dad left work completely at home.
Yeah.
And he worked a lot and had a great job, but it was, he was always home for dinner. He was always around on the weekend. And I remember my memories of them are more of them chilling, like putting a log on the fire, and turning on the football game and relaxing.
Yeah.
And I think about how my kids, my daughter comes home and is like, how was work today? The phone is, we try to put away the phone, but it's always there. So,
sidebar on that.
Yeah.
I was reading some, I think, Instagram post that was talking about how like the predictor of anxiety for kids isn't necessarily whether or not they have a phone, but like how often they see their parents on phones.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think, so she has this one line where she says, the irony, of course, is that busyness has almost nothing to do with productivity and everything to do with anxiety management.
Right.
It's not a virtue, but a tranquilizer. And it's basically you're sort of performing control, but you're not actually in control. And I don't know if we feel this lack of control because there's so much that's outside of our ability to control, and there's also so much more exposure to those things. Like we can see, we know what's going on in the world. We know we're seeing images of like wars on our phones, and so like is business like a sedative for that?
Yeah.
Partly
tranquilizer or sedative is really powerful. And, following all of her logic, if we're constantly tranquilizing ourselves into feeling like what we're doing stuff, it's okay, it's fine. We never have to sit with the fact that maybe it's not fine.
Totally. Yeah,
and
she was like, the constant motion creates the illusion of
like
purpose while hollowing you from within. And I was
then maybe the thing that like was really the kicker is like that there's actually nothing on the other side.
Right.
Like it's not actually building toward anything, which is like the myth we all tell ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm doing all this stuff.
I've got a full life so that I'm going to be happy. What do you think we're all in that scenario? What are we building towards, or what do you?
So you know what this reminded me of? Towards? My famous Russian therapist.
Yeah.
Who I don't know if we've talked about on the pod, probably, but I did like 4 sessions like 8 years ago or something with this therapist who was Russian, and that's important because she was very sort of like brute to the point in a way that I loved. And I came in there with I have to do this and blah blah blah, and she just looks at me and goes, "What are you running toward? Death?"
Totally.
And I was like, "Holy shit."
Right.
And I went and told all my friends, and everybody was like, yeah. I mean, I guess it's
hits
like,
ya.
Crazy.
Yeah.
You asked me a question. What was it?
What do you think is the purpose on the other side that we think we're going to achieve by doing all these things by which ultimately makes us busy?
So I'll tell you what I think it's trying to cover up.
Great.
Let's get really into it. And maybe I'm incepted about a book I'm reading right now. I think this all comes down to the fact that we are all afraid, like we know we're going to die.
Yeah.
And we're all trying to sort of fill up, human beings have just been trying to fill up that hole of like, why am I here? Why do I exist? And we're afraid that it's for nothing. Like we're afraid that we're afraid of death.
Yeah.
So, and if you stop to linger, you have to put, one foot in front of the other. And that is going back to how I was raised. My mother is like the queen of one foot in front of the other. We keep moving. Mm-hmm. That's what makes you strong and you move through life. And I always thought that was a great virtue. And I think it is. You work hard, you open up doors, you keep moving. You can't wallow. Oh my gosh, it's so Irish Catholic too. No wallowing. But to what cost? And then throw all this tech on top of it. That makes you feel like busyness. That facilitates that
and the feeling of productivity.
Yes. She says something about the value. Like it's like exactly that feeling of productivity.
But that's like not
and
actually.
I think we all get that it's not helping. Right? Like we logically know you don't do better work when you just answer all the emails that are at the top of your inbox. Those aren't the most important things to do.
That's all I do all day.
Same. Because it's also the like lowest common denominator thing that you can do and still feel like, or you're staving off the anxiety of the inbox still being full.
Yeah.
It's like, that's worse. So I'm just going to get that out of my face and my guts.
Yeah. She goes so far, which I think is very fair, to call busyness this socially acceptable addiction and the only compulsion that earns applause instead of intervention. I love that. You can't brag about cocaine at brunch, but you can boast about pulling an all-nighter for a client presentation or answering emails from the airport lounge. And I think about when we worked at Uber, like a lot of Uber's mentality was like hustle culture and like work hard, play hard, which is really just like you're busy all the time because if you're not working, you're doing something else.
And now it's all the
996. Yeah, 9 hours a day.
Yeah. There's a resurgence.
9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week.
And wasn't it interesting during pandemic? It kind of peeled back. It was like, this should be more about self-care. There should be more balance, like less hours. And now it's like.
But even she talks about,
more.
Okay, speaking of self-care, I mean, she's coming for the wellness energy, or the wellness energy, the wellness industry. But I'm all about it because same thing. I think I've convinced myself that when I'm not busy, I'm practicing self-care. And so that's justifiable. But self-care is also an action of itself. So, I mean, I've got my red light face mask. Yeah. I've got my custom bath salts. I've got my foot massager. And so when I'm quote unquote resting at home, this is like Mario will come into the room. I'm sitting on our bed. I've got the foot massager on, my red light mask on, and I'm watching a show because we're
going to need a visual for the pod.
I know. I'm like, I've got to optimize my time that I'm resting. So I'm doing 4 things at once.
Even I'm like, I should be reading a book. Yeah. I should be reading more books. I'm not reading enough books in my spare time, right? Or even I should be doing my morning pages. I need to be, journaling or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are no longer the exploited, but the self-exploiting, both the obedient worker and the relentless boss in the same exhausted body.
And doing it to ourselves.
The whip has been digitized, which is so true. Like we're not going into the office anymore, or now people are. They're trying to bring you back into person, but we are just a slave. I know, me, yeah.
They are trying.
Ourselves. Exactly.
Another theme that really strikes me in my bones is around identity. If I'm not busy, I'm not useful. Who am I?
Yeah.
Since birth, be useful, contribute, on the whatever, hockey team.
Yeah. Totally.
What are you building for society? And I know as I'm reading this, that was me in this part of my life, building a startup. I was so glorifying. I haven't showered in weeks. I haven't gotten a haircut. I have no time for friends. I'm just so exhausted. I'm like doing all this stuff. I'm reading this going, oh my God, that's like glorifying it in that way. It's so eye-rolly to me now. But I could understand when I was doing that. Like it had to be, since I was spending all that time, that it had to be part of my identity and it had to be this like thing. And now that I'm not working as crazy, but I'm spending more time working on my family, like, and with my kids, there definitely is this like, am I not useful to society anymore as much? Or am I not needed as much in that intense way? Whereas in reality, I'm needed more than anything with my family. And that should be the thing that matters the most. But I really relate to that. Like, who am I even useful if I'm not busy?
And how much do you think of it is like internalized, that you're like questioning that yourself, like you put this on yourself, or like you're worried that other people are going to think that you're not?
It's a good question. I think the word identity really gets me because I feel I want to feel like I'm making the most of my life. And I'm an optimizer in every capacity. Making the most of my life is really about like who I'm becoming, it's not really like, oh, I've achieved all these things, I've won awards or whatever, but I feel good about I feel good about like how I've evolved. And there's one thing she doesn't really talk about here that I wanted to ask you about is growing up with the sense of work hard and it unlocks doors for you and you can achieve things and happiness comes with that. Like that was always you work hard, you try hard or whatever. But being busy is something completely different than like work hard and like don't give up. And
business doesn't actually necessarily equate to like good work.
Right. And grit is very different than like addictive doing.
Totally.
Right? Like
totally. Like it's not gritty that I'm in the 20 minutes that I have between meetings that I'm actually vacuuming the floors of my apartment.
Yeah, exactly. Or grit is probably not responding to these 25 things because having the wherewithal.
Because you're focusing on one deep thing or something.
Which is, and that I feel like I grew up with the first part and then this busyness wave took over, right?
Do you feel like it's gotten one concept that she questions is like, is busyness actually grief in disguise? Like grief for the selves we didn't become, the lives we didn't live because we were too busy proving we were living one.
So that one is also a dagger. Too busy proving we've made the right choices.
100%. And it's like I'm busy so that I can tell someone else that I've done this versus like actually doing something. And I wonder if it's gotten worse. I think people talked a lot about, again, back to the sort of things don't end, but like with COVID, like we never really grieved COVID. Like, do you think it's gotten worse since then? Or do you think that this was like we've had this, you've been like this for, the last multiple decades?
I think it got worse because boundaries blurred during COVID. It even though we had tech, like we were connected, we still had whatever. Like I remember, working at Google and we were doing like Gmessage or whatever. Even my first job, we had IBM Lotus Notes, and they had there was like a little WeChat thing in the Lotus Notes. Like there was always a way to connect for us outside of work, just in our like generation or what have you. But there's no on or off hours with COVID because we're all at home. I think that really did blur the lines of what busy could mean.
Look like.
I feel like it increased the sort of like superficial busyness, the pinging in the brain stuff. Whereas I feel like when I was more in person and had was focused deeply on bigger long-term things, it was a combination of personal relationships. It was a combination of getting things done. It was like more holistic feeling of accomplishment and identity, as opposed to like, let me just get these things off my list to survive. And now, I mean, for me personally, a lot of the things like being a slave to logistics or like logistics being the thing, Charlie and I will go out on a date night, right? Like, oh, we haven't had a date night in a month. We'll get in the car and then all I start talking about logistics. Okay, we need childcare for this. We need, where the garage door broke yesterday. We like whatever. So it then still defaults into
totally.
that.
And then it's a little bit of a question of like, you're talking about all these logistics because you were keeping you and your family so busy that there are a million things happening that then you have to facilitate those million things. Like, it's like if you just didn't sign up your kids for anything and, like, would it actually be... Would you be so busy? Like, are you proliferating the cycle of busyness?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. For me, it's I'm protecting my future self from the inconvenience of my kid not having been booked for the thing or the future inconvenience of like my house in squalor or something that in my mind is a disaster, but it actually
would be totally fine.
Isn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I think she talks about the class dimension to this madness. And so like, it used to be leisure and you sort of outsourced all the business to the servants. And now like the middle class is like the upper class, I would actually say is still really busy, but there is more of a the 1%. Like I think there's a subset of them that are very busy, like the Elon Musk of the world who are like, can't, I mean, he also relates, I would imagine, a lot of it to this article, but a lot of them are like, it's like we've created all these new systems in this last decade that are like meant to reduce friction in our lives and give like total convenience, whether it's like food delivery or Instacart kind of stuff or Uber. Like you basically like don't have to plan any of those things yourself. But then like that's, I don't know, I feel like the middle class is, as she calls it, like a slave to our own busyness. Like we've created all of these things for ourselves, and the lower class is like getting everything downstream. Like that's probably the worst friction. And like you hear about people working 3 jobs to make ends meet and blah blah. But I wonder how much of it is like a bet of our own making.
It seems like a lot of it. And I thought one of the craziest parts in here, she has a quote from Blaise Pascal in the 17th century, literally talking about this same phenomenon. So it's like always been a problem. He says all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone.
Yeah.
Like the stillness, being still. I mean, that's why, people have always meditated, finding stillness and getting away from basically filling your brain and life with things that make you feel like, you don't have to think about what actually matters.
Yeah. We fear emptiness, so we overfill.
She's like, imagine what he'd say about Slack notifications.
Oh my God.
Like in the 17th century, we were concerned about this. So there is that too. This has always been, this is the human. It's how we cope with the fact that we don't know what's going on.
Yeah. I one of my favorite books is
don't know what's going on.
Is 4,000 hour to 4,000.
Yes.
Yeah, which is about basically the average human lifespan is 4,000 weeks, which is 80 years, and it's sort of talking about the lack of like. You can't really the likelihood that you're going to have this huge legacy is very low.
Right.
So you should spend time with the people that really matter, and like, that's the best thing that you can do. But one of the things that they talk about in that book is time and our relationship to time. And she talks a lot about that, about how we've created this culture where value equals velocity, and that we talk about our like the language of time has been converted to capitalism. So it's like we spend time, we save time, we waste time. And as if like time were money in and of itself. And I mean, like people say all the time, time is money, time is money. Like, I could be doing this, or my billable hour rate is this. So like I should be working to make money off of that. Like I think a lot of this busyness is capitalism in disguise, that we've now sort of created this self-fulfilling doom loop where we're just slaves to it.
This reminded me of the ayahuasca article where she says something about responding is our culture, responding promptly. And she was trying to organize her, for those of you who haven't listened, go back to the ayahuasca episode. And she's trying to organize her ayahuasca journey or whatever. And she's corresponding with someone who basically doesn't respond to her for weeks and weeks and weeks. And she can't fathom why. And like, that's what we live in this place where it's almost integrity equals velocity also. Yeah. And then when you do try to take a break, when you do go on vacation, you do whatever. She didn't say this explicitly, but this is what came for, flooding for me. The whole world is still operating on velocity.
You feel guilty.
Yes, you feel guilty. And all the busyness is still happening. And you can pretend to incubate yourself during that time from it. You could turn off your phone. You can whatever. Although you can't, because you're going to look at the news. You're going to
She talks about you meditate for 30 minutes and then ruin it by immediately looking at the news.
Yes, exactly. And then ruin it, quote on ruin it, is so funny. Even that is trying to optimize.
Totally. She's like, business is a hydra. When you cut off one head, 3 calendar invites appear. Which is so true. Like the date, like sometimes
if you're lucky, there's calendar invites.
Totally. Yeah, I know. The biggest fight of both of our relationships is the calendar.
The calendar invite.
But I try, like, whenever even I try to be, intentionality, I'm like, is that just, what even is that anymore? But when I try to be intentional and, like, not schedule too much stuff for our weekends, but it inevitably just creeps in because everyone else is playing the same game and you can't get, like, your whole world on the same page.
Okay, I have a question about this.
Yeah.
And we have some friends who've tried this for an extended period of time. We're just, like, not going to book anything.
Yeah.
I refuse to believe that just not planning, because I am a planner. Yeah. I love curating,
which is part of this.
I love curating my life. I love making sure I can carve out time for joy, and I really do believe that helps me buff. It's less of like, oh, I'm over planning, and it's more like I'm pushing the busyness away so that I could spend time with the people I love.
Sure.
And
be present in those moments.
Be present, and I really do feel like that helps me then be present. Like now that I have it planned, then I can.
Sometimes it does, but sometimes it doesn't. Because sometimes especially if I've over planned myself, which I know you are wont to do as well.
I have been had
known.
really, really bad, have been bad at that.
Because then I'm like literally this Saturday we have something from 2 to 6 and we have something from 4 to 8. And I know that we're going to go to the first thing from 2 to 4 and I'm going to be like 4 o'clock. We got to get out of here because we got to make the other thing by 6 and it's an hour drive and we got to go back. I'm like, and so will I be present from 2 to 4? I hope so.
No. Well, maybe now that you're more aware of it. My toxic thing, which I think you're referring to, is when I was working a ton, I had one day off a week or like whatever. And that was Saturday. And I would make my husband pack a bag.
Yeah.
The rule was we do not go home. We wake up in the morning and it's whatever. We're going to get coffee, breakfast. We're going to go on a hike. We're going to see friends. We're going to like whatever. And I had it all. I was like, these are all the things in my life I want to experience on this one day.
I have to
and it would rain and I would just like fucking lose my mind. Or something would go wrong. There was traffic. And because all of my hopes were built on like my joy being in this one day and it was derailed. So that I have learned that like when you and I think having kids is a big part of that because it's like, oh, it's all derailed.
Yeah.
So like then when you have kids, you realize you're like, okay, I can have one thing a day, and like there's buffer on either side. But I agree with you, that is bad. Like that I don't think that that is over busifying my leisure time in a way that actually didn't provide relief
for me.
But it made me feel like I was getting it in.
I actually think started when I moved. Maybe after college. I don't feel like I felt it in college because college felt much more just this flow, or I wasn't in control of everything. And I was kind of okay with that because the structure and safety of college was great. And so there were so many other things that were directing how I spent my time that I was okay with it. And then I feel like I moved to DC. I didn't know that many people. So then I was like, okay, but I'm a loser if I'm not hanging out and I don't have plans. So I was like really thoughtful about trying to meet people or go on dates or go to museums or whatever. And then I feel like it got an overdrive when I went to San Francisco because same thing, moved out here, knew one person.
And there's so much to do here.
Yeah. And so I would go to talks by myself. I was filling time just for the sake of filling time. So I didn't feel, for me, it was like, so I didn't feel lonely. And so I didn't, and so other people didn't think that I was a loser, really.
It's interesting that your busyness was extracurricular though.
Yeah.
You've always been I've
what other brand of business is there?
Work busy or
sure. I've never been able to get that good into work busyness, unfortunately.
Yeah. So I've had periods of I'm obsessed with the whatever. I can't not check the work thing or whatever at all hours.
Yeah.
But now it's a home and it's a grocery shop. It's the groceries we need. It's Christmas presents. It's getting tasks done.
Yeah.
Whereas I've always felt like that kind of busyness that you have of filling my social world is good.
Right. In the world of business, which we're saying is not great, it's still,
I sort of feel like now that we're thinking about when did busyness strike, in college, I was one of those psychos who like made myself feel really busy and stressed even when I didn't have to. I remember finals periods and, field hockey season and and everybody else is, not everybody. I had fun, of course.
Chilling.
But I've always been the kind of person where I have to make myself feel importantly busy. And I think I even did that
She's admitting it to herself.
It's true. I think I even did that in college. I remember coming home, Thanksgiving, just like exhausted. My sweatpants and care for me. I've just been through the trenches or whatever, but why?
Is there any time
even when I went
life,
abroad, I remember being stressed about finals.
Is there any time in your life or
stressed.
place in your life that when you go there or when that time period was that you let yourself not be busy?
College, I made myself more busy than in my first job out of school. It wasn't that I wasn't busy. It's just that it felt more holistic. I worked at an ad agency. There was lots of young people. We were going out after work. We definitely left it at the office because it was all, creative agencies, back in the day. Or it's all billable hours. People just didn't do that. A lot of leadership had families and stuff. And we were in Boston, which is sort of low-key city. So maybe that's rosy tinted glasses and lived with Lizzie, lived with my best friend from college. And it was just fun. And we didn't really feel like we felt lucky we even had jobs as opposed to angling for the next thing.
Yeah.
And that's, of course, 2 years in, then you're like, oh,
that evolved.
I should get a promotion or whatever. Then you start to get into this cycle. But there was this rosy period where we live on our own. We have our own apartment. We're in a city. We're and that I feel like I didn't manufacture busyness
to be busy. I think for me, when I go home to Kentucky, I really just lean into doing nothing.
That's great.
And this last visit home, I slept like 10 hours a day.
Heaven.
10 hours a day. I made no
Do you
plans
record
with
it?
anyone.
One of the funniest things she says is we even have to make lying down a goal.
Oh my God,
But-
I know. Well, I think about all my friends, like with Oura rings
Yeah,
or with
no,
Whoops
can't do it.
or Apple Watches. That is
No.
she has something about the Oura ring in here. She's like,
Yeah.
then there are the Oura ring disciples, people who are so obsessed with optimization they need jewelry to confirm that they were in fact unconscious.
I know.
I mean,
So my thing with all those has always been, do you hear me? I'm already have this problem. Like
Totally.
I'm already like, this, and no. If I did that about my body too,
Yeah.
I'd
lose it.
I don't think I'd have any brain
yeah,
cells.
there's and I think the I feel like leisure could have been, or like self-care, relaxation, whatever. I think like people, the rise of wellness, I think, is a reaction to busyness, and people think that they're like avoiding their busyness by doing these wellness or self-care things, but really it's just like capitalism by another name. Yeah. I mean, yes, even I think a lot about how like the weekends historically, like my parents never meal prepped when I was younger. Like nowadays, the weekends, it's the grocery shopping, the meal prep, you're preparing for the busyness of the week because you won't have time during the week to do a basic thing like make your lunch. So you have to do it on the weekend now. So it's like, she says like the weekends have been colonized.
Yeah,
I'm like,
they've been colonized.
yes, by the cult of
You're
busyness.
making me think of strategic busyness also, because
Say
I think
more.
there's also a way. So my husband does not have this strategic busyness trait. And I've been trying to coach him on it because he's during the week, he has a demanding job. He's put himself on too many committees.
Totally.
He's like the
mayor
Leslie Knope of our
mayor
town.
of Tiburon. Yeah.
And he's a very hands-on dad. Oh, and we'll get to what's blowing up the group chat because it's connected to this. He's a tinkerer and he's taking piano lessons. He actually is filling his life with lots of things, but he tells me, I have no time. I have no time to work out. I have no time. Meetings really suck him one-on-ones and stuff more than it would me. Cancel that, or cut it to 5 minutes or whereas to me, it's very cut and dry how you could clear some of that stuff out. And the difference is I'll be very busy, but I'm setting aside this time to go for a walk. I just am. We talked about this.
Yeah.
And I am just going to do that. Whereas he is like, no, I can't do that because that will make me feel like I'm not getting it all done.
Yeah.
So I do feel like for me, I've built some, and maybe that just comes with reps. No, these are the things I'm not negotiating. I'm not going to let the wave of busyness take over these things. And I feel like that was always the case, even when I was working a ton building a company. I was like, nope, I'm going to work out every morning. I have to do that to stay sane. And but of course, then you're crushing your body and then going and crushing your soul.
Totally.
What kind of psycho?
Yeah,
does
and
that?
I think.
But don't you do that? I feel like you have a good discipline with your.
With my schedule, yeah. I mean, yes, I do. I work out in the
boundaries.
mornings. Yeah. Yes, but also no, as I'm doing my stretching app that I do every morning, I'm clearing the Slacks, clearing the emails.
I've never once been able to complete that stretching app without clearing an email.
Yeah.
It's because it's so, because it's slow. And then I'm going to go for a walk and then I end up on my phone the whole walk.
Yeah. Right, totally.
That's why I like biking.
Yes, I mean, the
hands-on, baby.
Only good outlet. So one of the things that she talks about is how actually leisure historically wasn't laziness. It was actually how thought happened.
Yeah.
It's a condition. It was a precondition for good ideas. And I feel that so deeply because I feel like my good ideas are fewer and farther between these days because I have no time.
There's
to
no time if you're peeing.
to have them. I'm not. I have
remember-
no time for good ideas.
Remember a shower thought?
Yeah. But now in my shower, I'm like, I got to optimize. I'm doing
Completely
my,
agree with her.
and I've got to optimize and do my self-care. So I'm like, I've got my hair mask in while I'm shaving my legs.
Oh my God.
Who's got time?
The only time good ideas like Article Club came up for me is with morning pages.
Yeah.
Trying to force myself to just write 3 pages a day, which I do not. I've had a 3-week, didn't do it. And now I'm sort of trying to get back to it. And then I guilt myself that I'm not doing it. But at least I'm not doing anything but just sort of writing down my thoughts. And then my mind's like, please let us out. There are things in here.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, totally. I know. It ain't good.
Okay, so what's the solution? She actually says, I'm not perfect. I'm literally texting my friends right now.
Totally. Yeah.
As I'm writing this book.
She's like the most pragmatic solution I have.
But
is
it's like,
bringing
try to
back
live your life.
boredom.
Oh, yes. That boredom is also a very big thing with kids lately.
Okay. I was going to ask, how do you, with all of this, with your kids, how do you think about reducing this?
The busyness thing is something I'm very aware of with kids because my daughter's 4.5. She's in TK, public school. She gets on the bus, loves her school. Every single parent is like, what activities are they doing? Like, what are the class, the ballet, the taekwondo, My kid is doing so great in school. She comes home exhausted at the end of the day. Exhausted. We eat dinner. We have a couple blueies. We go to bed. I really do not want to overschedule her. Also, I don't want to be driving around and that be my life. She's 4.5, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm with that. I'm letting her sort of self-direct, you know, so like this winter, you know, there's all these cool, you know, little, it's called the ranch, like little Parks and Rec classes for kids after school or whatever. And I told her there's this clay, make things with clay. She loves like sculpting, making things with her hands. She was like, oh my gosh, I want to do that clay thing. Great. So I signed her up for the clay class. So I'm trying to like, when it's self-directed.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty cognizant of the busy, like the filling the kids' schedule stuff.
Yeah. She talks about like the real boredom that like that like breeds daydreams and that kids used to have before we like overschedule them to the nth degree of their life.
This is something in the parenting realm too about letting your kids be bored.
Yeah, like
is
on the
a
drives.
New thing. Yeah. And
No
like
iPads on the
how
drives.
funny is it that it's a new thing? All I remember
It's all
doing was
cycles.
being bored in my childhood. Right. You're just
Yeah.
like bored. But you never but kids, my 4-year-old is going, Mom, I'm bored. In like the 2 seconds she, you know,
Doesn't have
between
something in
school
front
and
of her.
Yeah.
And
And she's like, I want a snack. I'm bored. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, of course we all eat when we're
We all
bored.
just eat when we're bored or whatever. I know a lot of friends were all saying, it's great to be bored. Find
Yeah.
something to do.
Yeah.
Use your imagination. You know,
Totally.
you got art supplies. You got
I also
toys. Go ahead.
I also like the not glorifying busyness and I need to be better at that with other people.
Oh, it's so gross now that I'm reading it, and I totally was guilty of it. It's
Yeah.
disgusting.
It's so
like I'm
gross.
so busy. I'm so important.
It's so gross. But I think about like we need to think about better questions to ask each other. Like so there was not just
Yeah.
like what's new
How
with you?
are you?
What's
Yeah, I'm
new with
busy,
you?
but yeah.
What's up since the last time I saw you? That's just
Yeah.
like you're begging for people to tell you how they've filled their time with busyness.
I guess, yeah. I feel like you and I, let's make a pact to try this on for size when people are like,
Yeah, let's shame them when they're busy.
yeah, exactly. Let's be like, literally nothing.
Yeah.
Like, actually, just nothing going
Yeah.
on. Nothing. Just walking down the street or
Yeah,
whatever.
just thinking. And maybe
Or
we'll get
just-
some good. We'll get some good.
or
I'm
instead
like
of
trying to productive how I said it. I'm
when
like,
it's like busy but good, it's like, you know, and I don't know, is the answer more specifics?
well, then it's like what
actually,
are you busy with? They're like, why? Why are you
Yeah,
doing those things?
yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
The 5 whys.
5 whys.
You just, it's when someone says they do something, you're like, why? And then they say why. But why?
Oh,
yeah.
5 whys until the truth. Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Okay. Shall
So
we move
that's
on?
so
to
wow.
the-
Okay, so
Our favorite
anyway,
segment?
Well, can I also just say that this feels like one of those spaces, right? Where
Yeah.
it's not. I'm not. I mean, yes, we want to record. We want to.
Yeah, although I forgot what I was going to do for blowing up the group chat. So that
I
became
was busy
thinking
work.
about it. Oh, no, I was just thinking about it while we were talking. I was like, what am I going to do now? Okay, great.
But to carve out space to just talk, to just like to reflect on something, that feels like we're fighting the fight. Okay.
Yeah.
The anti-busyness doping fight. Okay, time to move on to our segment that is called "What's Blowing Up the Group Chat."
What's blowing up the group chat? Let's change around this season. Have Carly go first.
Wait, really? Do we
Yeah.
always have you first?
Almost always.
We kind of mix it up. I'm going to start with, I was at dinner a couple days ago with friends, and they were asking about the podcast. And one said, oh, what's going to be blowing up the group chat or whatever. And another friend said, oh, that's a great name for a podcast. And they all look at her and went, that's in every single one of their podcasts. It's just at the end so busted that she hadn't actually listened to the end. It's totally okay.
Yeah.
We don't mind that. We love when our old coworkers' husbands are secretly listening. You know,
Yeah,
it's like the
best.
few degrees removed. You don't have to be removed, but it's also kind of the best. Okay, so what's blowing up my group chat right now? I was alluding to my husband being sort of a Renaissance man. He's also a tech collector of sorts. He likes old Mac computers and stuff, and not like the nice kind.
Yeah.
Like these
like
are
the
not
fun bubble color ones
These
or
are not
whatever.
valuable items. These are busted old parts that put together, and then he likes to set them up so our kids can play lemmings and stuff. He has recently acquired a 3D printer.
Cool. We were just talking about this at Thanksgiving. My brother was going to buy one.
Blowing up group chats. Tell him to connect with Charlie if he's looking
Okay.
for it. Because we now have, I will say, I bought him one last year for a gift, and I did bad, apparently. It was like not good enough, not cool enough, the wrong one.
Yeah.
It was resin, not
And then
whatever the other thing.
I think Mario's brother wanted one too. Yeah.
See? It's in the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
And
Oh no, Mario's boss wanted one.
he is like coming up with things and printing them for my kid. Like she's like, I want a unicorn that da 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 da. And they can just make the ideas physically. It is so crazy.
Cool.
And it's like this, and it's in there just
I feel
like
the
working
prices
away.
gone down. They're like
the prices
less
have
than
gone down.
$500.
It was less than $500.
Which is is less than I would have thought it would be.
Yeah, I mean, it's still like, who has, like you have to want to spend $500 on it, but like as a gift for the techie in your life or whatever, to be able to have an idea. And I just think about my childhood, to think of something and then literally prototype it is so cool.
Yeah.
I have a colleague whose son designed Christmas ornaments with their school logo in them, and he made $600 selling these Christmas, had them like just like 3D printed them on the same 3D printer. Like kids can like make stuff.
Whoa, $600.
It's so cool. Yeah, he made like 600.
Were they like out of glass?
No, he made 600. Like he sold them. Like he and his sister made a little enterprise, like selling the three. So.
What do you need? Here's my question. What do you need to like input to make these things?
It's a really great question. So
like plastic?
there is this whole yeah. Everybody
like,
asks
what's
this.
The cartridge?
Everybody asks this. It's kind of these spools that of like almost like GIMP. Schools of GIMP that then get
GIMP
little.
Is.
Oh, GIMP is the like
hemp.
No, like the colored rubbery string that you do like cross stitch, box stitch with. At camp.
Like that you would make like the
we call it GIMP in the Northeast. Yeah.
Okay. That's like that. Okay, I'm with you.
It's sort of like spools of that of different colors that then is sort of melted by the machine and then it comes out as a pen and it hardens into sort of like a plastic thing. Huh. And there's this whole community of like people who've already designed things in 3D that you can just search. I want a I want a figurine of this, or I want this tool or whatever, and then you can just send it to the printer and it will just do it. Wow. Or you can design your own. And Charlie's been making different things, and he's like, "What do you want me to make for you?" I don't know. I need like a divider for the fork drawer. Is it more expensive for you to to actually print it energy-wise and with your little spool than for me to go to Container Store? It's like at some point there's a whatever. But I need a little ring holder for my whatever. So he's printing me this little tree that can hold my rings.
Great.
It's so cool. And this is like the Nano Banana pros of the world too. Tavy and I. Sometimes we'll sit and she'll come up with stuff and I'll just put it into Nano Banana and it just make a magical unicorn and a raccoon who are best friends and they're sitting on a cupcake and whatever and then it appears. Yeah. It's magical. So I can't imagine being a kid and being able to your imagination to make stuff like that. It just seems really neat.
Very cool.
It's blowing up the group chat.
I love it.
It's been talked about. Apparently in your world too. Okay.
Yeah. Twice.
What's blowing up yours? What did you just think of?
So what's blowing up the group chat in my world is fascia. Are you familiar with fascia?
Yeah, as in plantar?
yeah. But fascia runs in your whole body. It like sits under your skin. It's sort of like this layer. I'm butchering this probably. I should just Google it or ChatGPT it. But it's this layer of muscle that is right under your skin that is normally really like should move a lot. And so
it's not muscle.
It's not muscle. It's a fascia.
Okay.
I don't know if it's muscle or like a layer of. It's like maybe it's just its own thing, and it sort of wraps around your muscles. But a lot of times it gets stuck on your muscles, and that's when you end up having pain. And you think that it's I've got knee pain or whatever structure, but it's really just like your fascia needs a good release. And so I've been seeing this like sort of also
fascist.
Yeah. Good one. No, I've been seeing this body work guy who are like massages that also specialize in fascia. And,
seen him.
And I've realized that all of my issues are my fascia gets too tight. It's probably because I'm so uptight because I'm so freaking busy. But he was specifically talking about my feet fascia is the root of all my problems. I think all your hip and back stuff is just your feet fascia is too tight.
So what's he doing?
So I'm supposed to massage my foot on the cross ball. There's also like these like jumping sort of exercises that like and like swinging exercises.
Qigong.
I don't know.
Qigong or something. This is blowing up the group chat a little bit too. There's these exercises to get your chi and your energy in.
Okay, maybe the fascia and the chi are related.
You. I'm waiting to follow up on that.
I'll send you some. Yeah.
Okay.
And they're supposed to help sort of I think just relax your body, release the fascia.
Yeah.
So, and I should have known this because the feet are the windows to the soul. Like my,
literally,
when I worked at Origin with the pelvic floor, a lot of times if you have a like tight pelvic floor, you need to get foot massages because it's actually your feet are really
also
tight.
Singers. There's this whole, now I'm deep in singer TikTok and Instagram. And if you have foot problems, you're unbalanced, your air flow is messed up. Yeah.
Yeah. So fascia.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm glad you're on this fascia journey.
Yeah.
I hope they give you something other than the fucking tennis ball.
Lacrosse ball.
Yeah, I know.
I also have, again, the foot massager aforementioned. Yes. So I tried to avoid the lacrosse ball. So you're just telling me I need to use my foot massager today? And he's like, no.
That was left at the apartment, right?
Yeah.
Amazing.
He's like, no, it's not. That's not sufficient. I need the lacrosse ball to really get in there.
Okay.
The right spots.
Okay. Well, keep us updated.
Yeah.
On that fascia.
Fascia journey.
Okay. Well,
Till
This
next
was
time.
great.
Yeah.
Till next time. We're back.
We're back.
We're back and we're glowing and we're not busy. We're not busy and we're not good.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye.